Hello and welcome to the wrap up. If you haven't been here before, this is the official Raptors Republic post game live show where we recap, we dissect, and we have a lot of fun talking about the latest Raptors win. I'm your co host,
They
Sahal
say
Abdi,
we have
here
the
with.
most fun out of all the shows.
Okay, that's Oren. Okay, guys.
That's
and
what
then
the
I've also
streets are
got
saying.
Raptors Republic's
Anyways,
Aiden Moss.
sorry.
Also known as Oren number 2.
Yeah, Oren. I don't know if you watched the last
With a
episode, but I called him
bigger forehead.
I called him Oren like 3 times. Was it 3 times, Aiden?
I think it was 2.5, maybe.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
I haven't.
I'm so used to seeing
that's good to
Oren's.
hear.
I'm so used to seeing Oren's ugly face from last year. So tonight, thanks guys for just blowing up the intro. Tonight, the Raptors defeated the Indiana Pacers 118-100, bringing the Raptors record to 2-3 on the season. Welcome, boys. It's always good to have you two on the co-hosts, my co-hosts, your co-hosts. We have all 3 of us here tonight. What did you guys think about Indiana Pacers game? It was a big Raptors blowout. A lot of stuff to talk about. The rookies played really well. The bench, Fred VanVleet, OG had a pretty solid game. Gary Trent Jr. didn't really shoot well, but I mean, the defense kind of made up for it. What do you guys want to talk about first? What stood out to you? I'll start with Oren. What stood out to you?
Aiden, I don't know. Do you have anything specific? Because you can lead us off. I don't really have one.
Do you guys want to talk about the rookies?
I think. Well, no. What I was gonna say is I think what shot. I mean, we're gonna talk about all of the cool shit that we saw tonight, but I think that one thing that amazed me is I definitely thought Sabonis and Turner were gonna eat us up inside. Sabonis is a monster. And he had 4 field goal attempts. I don't know if he was hungover. I don't know if he just didn't feel well. But it really came down to our aggressive defense. And we just he didn't have much opportunity to do much of anything. So that really stood out to me beyond all of the exciting stuff.
No, let's start there. That's a good point because I mean, I just think this is a different Raptors team, right? And people haven't really been giving them credit in terms of I just think they're a good rebounding team this season. They added a ton of size with 2 legit centers and Scottie Barnes, who I think is averaging 8.5 assists or rebounds leading into this game. That's a monster number for your small forward, basically.
Yeah.
I just think they're a good rebounding team, and defensively, they took Sabonis and Turner out of this one.
I know, but 4 field goal attempts is crazy. That's insane
OG,
for a guy who played 34
effect,
minutes.
And 4 turnovers, and OG had how many steals did OG have? 5 assists and steals all in the first half. But OG. He's a beast, man. He's actually been better defensively this season than last season, which is really hard to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at the Pacers at first, the Raptors won in almost every category today. They out-rebounded the Pacers, 22 Pacers turnovers compared to the Raptors 10 turnovers. Again, we said it before, Domantas Sabonis only had 4 field goal attempts in 34. It wasn't like he didn't play. He was on the court for 34 minutes. He had 9 points. He was 3 for 4, 8 rebounds. It was almost like the Pacers tried going to him early, guys, and then it just wasn't really working. The Raptors tried everything to kind of structure defensively just to keep him out of the paint because Sabonis is a guy that can put 20-20 on any NBA team on any given night. The guy's averaging the most rebounds in the league. I think he's at 15.8 or something like that per game. And in this game, he only had 8 rebounds. The Raptors were known, to be one of the better rebounding teams in the league. They average the most rebounds currently in the league. I don't know if that still stands after tonight's game. But Rick Carlisle said it as well in the pregame press conference. He said the Raptors rebound really well. They're extremely active. Defensively on the perimeter, they wreak havoc. And it's like everything that Rick Carlisle said came true. And by the way, guys, I totally forgot Rick Carlisle was the coach of the Pacers. I'm so used to him being in front of the Dallas Mavericks brand, and I totally forgot that he went to the Pacers. I was like Nate Bjorkgren isn't there anymore, so I was thinking who's there. So I had to quickly Google, earlier this morning, Pacers head coach, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Rick Carlisle. Good for them. They're 1-4, but
I wanted to know how. I want to know how awkward that Bjorkgren Pacers exchange was pregame.
I want to know too. Yeah,
I feel like they didn't even talk to him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I still am not 100% sure what that whole situation is with him.
No.
I don't know if the players hate him. Some players hate him. One player hates him. No players hate him. They all love him. I still don't know the situation, but yeah, people are already clowning me, Aiden, as you can see, for calling you Oren on the last on the last episode. So
and then we lost him.
Thank you. Oh, look, thanks, Chris. You just
look what you did, Chris.
You just glitched Oren out of the entire stream. Thank you. Appreciate that. Aiden, what I wanted to talk about in this game, and I alluded to it earlier, was the rookies. We got to get into Delano Banton and Scottie Barnes because I'm going to be totally honest with you, and this is a big gulp of pride I'm taking right now. I didn't expect Delano Banton to even get minutes this season. Like, I legit thought he was going to be at the end of the rotation. He wasn't going to smell the NBA floor. As soon as the G League season started, he'd be plugged into the 905. We wouldn't see him again. Maybe save for a couple call-ups this year. And lo and behold, Goran Dragic is gone. He wasn't part of the rotation at all tonight. And Delano Banton stepped in and played really, really well. I talked to you, Aiden, about the last game, about the bench just not picking up their slack. And Delano Banton led the bench, and I feel like they did really good. Transition, he's great. Not a great shooter, but the fact that he's not a great shooter, Nick Nurse has him out that much, he has to be doing something well. What did you guys like about the rookies in this game?
Not a great shooter. You know when he shot it for three?
Yeah, it did look good, man. But I mean, he's not known for it, is what I mean.
No, I know. Go ahead.
What do you guys think?
You're welcome back.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. Something happened to my
What did Chris do? What did Chris Willis do? Let us know, because
I hooked up the hotspot. That's Edward Rogers doing something to us. He wants this show canceled ASAP. But Banton, yeah, Banton was great. The three ball is like I still am like I really don't believe in it as of right now. Like it has a lot of work to do, but what he did tonight was obviously nice. But like I tweeted that he's a cheat code, right? Because the game started really, really slow. The Raptors were playing well, but it was a half-court game, and that's just not what they want. And when he put Banton in at the end of the first quarter, it just sped the game up. Banton's he's always running, he's always pushing the pace, and he's making things happen in transition. And that was really like what the story was that once he came in, the complexion of the game just changed. And like, that's of course not all him. It's not like he was driving the offense tonight. But he does change up the complexion, and that's something that Goran and Malachi just don't do, even if maybe they have more, skills, 3-point shooting, stuff like that. They don't really fit the system in the same way. But I am surprised that Goran didn't play, because I just think you got to play him. You got to keep him involved. He's like
the quintessential trade asset right now.
Exactly.
So I don't know why he wouldn't be on the court.
Right. And
but
I'm
I
sure
think
he will be.
But he has enough like history that there are going to be teams that are desperate enough to grab him. Right. Like they know what they're going to get. They know they're going to get 14 and 3 out of him at best. And some team's going to come crawling who like needs that backup punch.
Sure, but it's just not going to be for as much as it would have if the Raptors had integrated him into the system, given him a lot of run, he puts up a lot of points, and then you trade him. Whereas now it's like, okay, well, he didn't crack the Raptors rotation. Like maybe we'll still trade for him, but he's not exactly a sexy thing if he's not playing.
I mean, I felt like the Raptors were trying to get rid of him earlier before the season even began, and they couldn't even do that. And now it's like his trade value is plummeting even more. So I don't know. Maybe like Luka can call Masai and tell him to bring his compatriot to Dallas. I don't know. I'm okay with Goran not playing, but at the same time, I want something out of him if he's going to be that trade asset for Toronto. What do you think, Aiden?
This has got the smell and taste of a buyout. Like I don't know that there's enough that we're willing to take back. Like I don't really care for Dwight Powell. I don't know. And I don't know that the Mavs want to give him up either. $20 million's a lot to fill in, especially if Dragic is on the backside of his career. Plus, he's an expiring. So, I think like now we just accept that we're probably not going to get anything for him. Achua is everything and more than we could have dreamed of for the Kyle Lowry trade. So let's just take that as our win and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about Delano, guys. I think he did so well off the bench. Like Oren mentioned, he pushes the pace so well. Like I feel like every time he grabs the rebound, and maybe this is a Nick Nurse thing because Nick Nurse loves when Fred does this. Kyle used to be the master of this. Whether he grabbed the rebound or not, it's just the pace pushing. He wants his offense to get up the court really fast, catch the defense off balance, or at least get a few more seconds on the clock to run a set. Scottie Barnes.
I was just gonna answer this question real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But I think I'm intrigued by Banton. I think whether you want to call him a lottery talent or not, I think he slipped further than he probably should have in the draft. Obviously, it's too early to really say that, but like the kid is just so smart the way he plays. He's such a special playmaker. Playmakers like this just don't come along often enough, and the fact that you can pair that up with his transition game makes him just a really a fun player and one that's unique in the NBA. There's not a whole lot of them. I actually wanted to pull this clip, and I'm not sure if we got it. Maybe we'll be able to show it later, but it was Kem and Banton defending a pick and roll, Kem Birch and Banton defending a pick and roll, and there was just hands everywhere, and it was just like there was nowhere for them to go, and they can switch it, and it's really tough. And we got some Banton highlights playing now.
Oh yeah. People are probably like, how could you say he's not a good shooter? Well,
yeah, they rolled out,
guys,
I think it was
not known for it, so leave me alone.
Birch, Barnes, Boucher. Banton, Birch, Barnes, Boucher.
This guy's
like, it was just so much length on the court.
The Raptors defense, they've been known, like that's their identity this year, and I feel like you could probably say that this has been their best defensive performance. Like,
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
The perimeter defense has been insane this year, led by Fred, and then everyone else is just getting their hands on things. Can we give some respect to Gary Trent Jr.? I know he shot 3 for 12, and just forget the steal number because 4 steals is impressive, right?
That's funny.
But he has been a menace on the perimeter defensively. I feel like he's had his hand on every single basketball. Delano's pulling that now, huh? Okay.
Yeah, he's like Gary Trent is like in the top 2 in steals in the league. He's a completely different player than we saw at the end of last year. Like the Raptors have changed him, and like he has to now find the balance, which is like he is passing up too many threes, taking like a dribble and then it's cut off instead of just rising up as soon as he gets it. Like there's too many spots where that's what they need him to do. They need him to shoot like 8 to 10 threes a game.
Yeah.
But I would rather this version of him because we know that he can do that stuff and like he will put it together eventually. But this version of him where he's just a menace on D and he's getting fast break points going, and
I love Pascal.
When they do need a bucket, he's getting them self-created buckets as well.
Yeah.
So he's had a great start to the season.
I agree. And like it's like if we do get those Gary Trent Jr. games where he goes 5 for 16, it's like that would normally be such a piss off. But because he's so locked in, like you can keep him on the court. And I agree that I think he's just going to continue to build. Like if he's shown this much growth this quickly, like imagine a year or two where he really like understands his role and sharpens his skill sets. Like it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and like I told you guys I was a proponent of sending Banton, immediately to the 905 because I'm sure none of us expected this type of production from him this early on in the season. My question to you guys is, like, Scottie Barnes, of course, is not going to touch the 905. Forget the 905. He looks like one of the best players on the Raptors, the senior team. So,
in the world,
in the entire world, do you guys think that Nick Nurse may, consider sending Delano still to the 905 once that season starts, or at this point is he just too much of a producer for the bench? Because the bench is weak. Let's be quite honest. We're not going to see consistent performances from the bench this year. Kem Birch looks like he's still getting into the thick of things. Svi is like, I don't know. Svi, I'm like really happy with him one play, and then the next play I'm like, how are you banking a shot from the pocket corner? I don't understand it. But okay, guys, enough with the orange jokes. Like we get it. I called Aiden Oren a few times.
It's like bananas and pajamas.
It's like we're gonna deal with this all season now. Aiden, I mean, Aiden, what do you think about Delano? Stop this guy. Stop it right now. Aiden, what do you think about Delano Banton? Do you think as soon as the G League season starts, they send him down immediately, or at this point are you like he means too much to the bench?
It's hard to say. I'm still a little skeptical. Like, this Indiana bench is gross, right? Like, once they lost Brogdon, they kind of their rotation really took a hit. So it's easy to look good against these kind of guys. It's easy to look good when you're in transition and you're getting to the hole. I worry against better teams. I think he's going to be a little bit outmatched in strength and with a strong defense. So I could go either way. Like, man, I could see Flynn going down to the 905 and just rocking 30 every night. And then Banton kind of giving us this like combo forward guard minutes.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, I could see him going down, scoring 20 and 6, and then coming up the same night and playing a couple minutes at home, you know?
Yeah. And then that led me into this question, because we're talking about his future role, Delano Banton, but Utah's not here yet. And Pascal's going to be back sooner rather than later. So does that almost by default knock him out of the rotation?
Yeah, so I think both Malachi and Banton are going to see 905 minutes. I think it's just going to be fluid, where right now Banton's in the rotation a bit. So maybe Malachi goes first. But I think they will switch at different points in the season. And I think Dragic is going to get back in the rotation because they know that they need to trade him. So as mean as that is, that's what I think is going to happen. But we got to talk about Scottie, because it was his best, probably, I don't know, every game's his best game, but I'll leave it to you, Sahal, because usually you leave it to us. What were your thoughts on Scottie today, or just generally throughout this season?
It's so hard to talk about Scottie because I feel like
hard? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna get us demonetized. It's hard to talk about Scottie without sounding like we're total homers of him, because he's legitimately been, in most people's opinion, one of the best rookies in the league thus far. He has been the second or third, or sometimes the first, just the best player that the Raptors have night in, night out.
Can we rewind that clip? The precious pass? That one's crazy.
He's been consistent. I mean, for Scottie, it's almost like when you watch him, it's like this guy can't be 19 years old. I feel like when I watch him, I'm like, this guy's been in the league for 3-4 years. His feel for the game is insane for a rookie. He knows where everyone is. We say this literally every episode. It feels like he rarely ever makes mistakes. He diagnoses mismatches really well. You see it here, whether it's on him or someone else. He can, like, the fact that a massive forward who can also play small ball 5 at moments in the game can make that pass is insane to me. He's physically gifted. Like, he came into he could have played on day one when he was drafted. I don't know. I feel like I had such high expectations for Scottie coming into the season. He's already broken all of them. So, I was on the Locked On Raptors podcast with Vivek and Sean Woodley, and one of the over-unders that we took was Scottie Barnes 100 Rookie of the Year points, voting points, and the reference with that was that what's his name? Tyrese Halliburton, is that his name on the Kings?
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton, I think he had 110 points last year, and the over-under was at 100. So I took the over.
Nice. You're winning.
And I know Vivek and Sean aren't watching this, but they took the under, so I'm winning that.
Losers.
So I'm excited. I mean, I feel like I was already high on Scottie Barnes, and leading up to the first game of the season, I was like, maybe I was a little too high on him, but I don't know, man. Has there been a more consistent Toronto Raptor this year than Scottie? I don't think so.
That's a wild thing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I might say Fred, but you're right. Like, it's pretty close.
Yeah, because Fred just had his best shooting night of the year this year. I mean, what did he go? He went 10 for 18. I mean, sorry, this game. He went 10 for 18. OG started off a bit slow this season, then has been pretty consistent from that point forward.
No, I get what you're saying.
Gary Trent is Gary Trent, right?
Yeah, I think there's a case to be made. I would still go Fred, but there's definitely a case to be made. But no, like, we absolutely should be homering out on him, because when we drafted him, the knock there was a knock, and it was like, fine, you can draft him and all, but he just doesn't fit your timeline because you have this older team with Fred and Siakam, and Scottie's raw. That's what we kept hearing. Like the other 4 picks were always going to contribute right away, whereas Scottie was going to take time. That's what everyone was saying, and they were wrong. Like that, we have enough of a sample size to just like determine that. Like Nurse said at the beginning of the season, that you're gonna know how good Scottie is for us, and like how much I like his play by how many minutes he's getting, right? And I think he's got to be third after OG and Fred on the team, and like after that there's a drop off. Actually, Trent is near, but he's playing a ton. He's closing every single game. He's obviously started every single game. That pass to Precious where he looks off the defender and then throws a no-look pass. It's like we got Magic Johnson, and the rest of the league has to eat it, baby.
I had to highlight this because I felt like I was high on Scottie Barnes coming into this year. And AMV Knight says Scottie with an average usage rate is an all-star already. He might be prime Jordan in his second year. Oh, wow. That makes me feel a lot better with my Scottie Barnes takes. I don't think I can go as high as that. So
I have to eat it too. I was upset when we did the draft show.
Eat it.
I was not. Man. Go back to the draft.
Yeah, you're right. You were positive.
I was all in on it because even if he was raw, which he clearly wasn't, I don't know what the hell draft scouts were watching because he almost never misses in the paint. Like that little one-handed push shot is money every time, including when he gets these passes like up here and he's just like, and they go in constantly. But even if that wasn't working, his tools everywhere else are just top. Like he was on Brogdon, he was on Sabonis, whoever the hell else was out there. Like he was guarding them, and like with the offensive package on top of this, it's just yeah.
So okay, Amit Man from Yahoo Canada had Sam Vecini on his podcast. Yeah, he's a great guy, and he had Sam Vecini who, like, pretty famously was kind of lower. No, he wasn't low on Scottie. He had him 5th or 6th.
Stop, Oren. Stop for a sec. Aiden, this is literally his 4th or 5th time mentioning Sam Vecini. Sam Vecini has to be paying you at this point.
I just try.
Sam Vecini is paying Oren.
Dude, it's just because he's one of the most reliable draft guys to me. And he was really wrong on Scottie. And he came on that podcast to literally like say what he was wrong about. Yeah, and so the first thing he brought up was the jumper. He said it's really changed. Like, both in terms of Scottie got rid of a hitch he had, and then also like his base used to be much wider, and now he said it's a lot more fluid, a lot more bend in the knees. But the other thing you just mentioned, Aiden, was like how he's not missing in that floater range. Well, in college he shot 7 for 23 in floater range, so he really wasn't this good. But one of the things that person talked about on this podcast from The Athletic that I don't mention was like that in the NBA spacing, Scottie is thriving way more than he did in college because he just finds these little spaces on the court and he's able to get into them, get into bodies, and like score that way from floater range. It helps that he developed more of a jump shot, but I think that's one of the things that it seems like those draft people missed out on, is that with a little more spacing, he just has more room to operate, and he's so tall and strong that you give him a bit of room and a bit of momentum, it becomes really hard to stop him in that area.
Yeah.
There's like Jack was talking about it all night too. He's like he's by far the most animated guy on the team, and yet he's probably the chillest. Like he's just so unfazed. I can't remember who scored on him, but Scottie did nothing in the first quarter, right? Like he was pretty quiet, and it looked like it was going to be one of those rookie games where he just kind of fades out. And then someone took it to him, and he goes down the court, and he's like, "All right, this is mine." Takes him down to the post and just crushes it. And then from then on, he went off. But like he doesn't get flustered. Like he misses a shot. It's almost like his plan. He misses a shot, gathers his rebound, goes right back up. He's not intimidated. Like, it's the skill set, but it's also just the personality and the confidence. And it's not annoying confidence. It's like just really sure of himself anywhere on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can't say enough. We're probably gonna be talking about Scottie like this all year long. So
yeah,
I mean, if you're not a Scottie Barnes fan at this point,
Scottie,
Guys,
come on
I don't know what to
come
tell
on the
you.
wrap up right after one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we're waiting for that. The fearlessness was crazy today. Miles Turner's probably one of the best shot blockers in the league, and the amount of times I saw him take Turner to the rim was insane. There, he took Sabonis to the rim, and Sabonis is a big guy himself. So
that was my favorite. Like he dislodges Sabonis, who's one of the
he's a strong guy
of the NBA, man. Like,
yeah,
and he did it to Boston against Juancho Hernan Gomez, and it's like, okay, Juancho is like a waif, but then he does it to like the man of the NBA, and it's no problem. And so one thing I wanted to get at is it's similar with OG. Like, I keep harping on this, but I want both those guys in the post. Like, OG is starting to learn how to pass out of it. Barnes already knows how to, and there's really nobody that can handle these guys' strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. What I wanted to talk about, honestly, I don't mind spending an hour talking about Scottie Barnes. At this point, I don't think the Raptors fans do either. But let's move on to someone else who had a very good game, and that is a shooting game, to be specific. I'm going to read this out because let's move on from the Scottie stuff and let's perfectly segue into the Fred stuff. So Roji YouTube says Scottie reminds me of how LaMelo had a jump shot when he came to the NBA because he had a minor fix, and both players were considered to have a bad shot. I don't know if I'd consider Scottie Barnes at this point to have a good shot. So,
all right, whatever. And Scottie seen.
Scottie seen. Fred VanVleet. Let's talk about Fred, because Fred, to me, had his first, really good shooting game of the year. Last game, me and Aiden talked ad nauseum about his playmaking. He had 17 assists, I believe it was. And we're seeing more and more shades of Kyle Lowry, I think, from Fred VanVleet in this role. I feel like we're watching him grow as the games are going along. What did you guys think about Fred's game and just his ability to lead the guys on the court? I'm glad. I'm just happy for Fred. I feel like he was taking all the shots that he was supposed to take. That three is a three I'm totally okay with Fred taking. And then, that, like, what are you supposed to do as a defender? That's just Fred hot. You can't stop that. We saw shades of 2019 finals, Fred. What did you guys think about Fred's performance? Let's go Oren, I guess.
I've been impressed with him all season, and I think you're right that we are going to see him grow a lot in this role as the season goes on, and that's kind of why I'm high on this team, is that I just think as a team they're all going to get better. Individuals are going to take leaps. Fred's going to take a leap in this role, and as a result, the team is just going to keep getting better and better. They're well coached, so that's why I'm confident in that. But yeah, like, Fred is literally willing them, like that Chicago game, man. He willed them to within a step back three of overtime. Like he shows so much heart, and like regardless of what you say about him and his deficiencies, like to have him as like your captain is like we're really lucky. We're fortunate, like that a guy who plays this hard and like is this smart and is like this good of a leader can just like is the captain of this team. It's pretty great. And yeah, like it was interesting that they freed him up a little bit off ball, that he got 7 threes off. That was kind of the problem this season, is that no one's getting the ball to him so that he can let off like all these threes, which we know he needs to do. So today, Scottie had the ball more and Banton had the ball more. So I think that's something to watch out for, because those guys were getting Fred involved.
Yeah, and OG and Barnes combined had 38 shots. And like, I think that gives VanVleet a lot of space. Like, even though he had the ball a lot, it just like the defense isn't just focusing in on Fred and he's trying to get through 4 guys. This is my favorite play. I don't know who that reminds you of, but like that is just so Kyle Lowry. Like, he just kind of like it'll come back around as the layup, but he basically goes like, around the court and then kind of does this like dives, dives offhand layup. And it like, I think he more and more is going to fall into this Kyle Lowry role. Like this one, that's just so Kyle Lowry, like
stops, gets hits from behind, probably got
sealed him off and then leans forward.
If his ass was just bigger, then he would have like probably got the foul. But
why did he dive like that? Let me see that again. Why? Because I thought he got pushed, but let me wait.
I think he did get put. Oh,
but he pushes off of Sabonis and he creates that space and extension, right? And
it was like a WWE dive.
And so, yeah, I think we're going to get a lot of these more efficient games from Fred as the other guys kind of evolve offensively. And that's when we saw Lowry at his best, is when Kawhi and Siakam started taking more responsibility, and Lowry was kind of that complementary offensive piece.
Yeah, listen to this, guys. Fred VanVleet. So let's go through this Eric Kareem tweet first. He says Fred VanVleet talking about how he used to be hesitant to shoot and was told he grew up being a floor general, so it wasn't his instinct. Then in the NBA, people pushed him to shoot more, just like he's pushing Banton now. And then he says, quote, now people don't think I'm a point guard anymore. It's great, end quote. So that's cool. I didn't know that. That's pretty crazy because I feel like Fred VanVleet was a great shooter coming into the league, you know, considering he's coming in as a, I don't know, sub 6 foot guy. Like, I still don't believe Fred VanVleet's 6 feet, but I mean, it is what it is. I think that's so cool. That's so cool that he told that story. I love hearing those type of stories. Fred VanVleet for me is the type of guy that, you know, he struggled a bit shooting last year. I think Oren and Aiden, he was at 38 or 39% from the field.
Yeah, and his at the rim numbers are real bad.
Yeah, so it was good to see him, you know, make shots in this game. I think for Fred specifically, it's been a good week for him. Blake Murphy had a cool tweet about an hour ago where he said, you know, Fred VanVleet's career high 10 rebounds gives him career highs in rebounds, assists, and turnovers this week. So 60 points coming soon, I guess. Fred's done it all this week, and he's almost averaging 6 rebounds a game this season. So it's cool. It's cool because I feel like that's what we used to see, at least from Kyle Lowry, a guy who was sub 6 feet or just around there, and he used to rebound the hell out of the ball. The Raptors are a good rebounding team, and they're doing something, you know, a lot of people consider. I expect them to be a terribly rebounding team. I just didn't. I'm looking at the team, and I'm like, Precious is the only guy who could really be productive around the rim on the glass. And I didn't expect Fred to average 6 rebounds a game and OG to be around there and all these guys to gang rebound every single game. And now they're number 1 in rebounding per game as a team. So
yeah, and it's gonna help even more when Siakam gets back because he's a really good rebounder. Utah is literally the best rebounder in the world.
Yeah.
Like his numbers, like Utah is a beast of a rebounder. So
2 more
per minute numbers are insane.
It's only gonna get better. Yeah.
2 other stats with Fred is you mentioned the rebounding. He had 4 offensive ones. I think, like, again, attributable to OG, Precious, and Barnes, who put so much pressure on the glass offensively. And then he only had 3 turnovers, and like his usage was down, but he didn't make a lot of the same mistakes he made early in the Chicago game. There was even a moment where he kind of emulated McConnell, where he drove and then he just kept going through under the hoop and around the other side. And he's got to do more of that he changed that up because of the Chicago game. Sahal, you and I talked about that. He got himself in a bind down there in those corners, and he didn't let himself do that this time.
Fred.
I'll say this last point on Fred is those stats that you just said that Blake tweeted out about having career high and all these things. Eric Korean was talking about this on his new podcast. I don't know if anyone listened to Raptors Reasonablest when Blake was there, but now they have a new podcast called Jurassic Pod. You should check it out. But he was saying like that just shows that Fred is in a completely different role. Yeah, it's like the fact that he's had these career highs and all these things in the first 4 or 5 games of the season just proves like this is a drastically different role for Fred. And the fact that he's kind of like gotten a hang of it, at least like decently well so early, is a really good sign for the team because it's just going to grow in it. But I also would say that like this doesn't mean that he is Kyle Lowry, and like I still think this team is best in terms of their ceiling. They're still best with Fred off the ball more and more point guard, like a different point guard beside him or just more playmaking beside him, because I just think that's still like the end goal. But these reps that he's getting right now are going to help him so much, as you know, if that's the end goal, as a second side guy, as a bench, you know, guy. So like, not to like diminish him to the bench, but I'm just saying like he will still run the team at points, but not for like 48 minutes like he is right now. And these reps are going to help.
Yeah, like I said, this season is going to be a roller coaster, but I think it's going to be a fun roller coaster because the Raptors are fun. Like, they push the pace in transition. They're super active. There are going to be blowouts on both sides. The Raptors are going to blow out some teams like you saw tonight, like you saw versus the Boston Celtics. There's going to be other games where they just completely fall flat on their face. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with seeing a roller coaster season. This is a very young roster. Me and Aiden talked about that on the last episode as well, about how this is the 7th youngest roster in the league. And it's going to be up and down. It's going to be a bunch of up and downs. You're going to see a lot of learning from everybody, not just, the young guys. From, like Oren said, Fred as well. He's going to be learning in a new role. He's learning every single day. Pascal's going to have to do a bunch of learning in terms of, the team chemistry once he gets there. It's not all going to click right away. He might have 3-4 games where it's like, what's wrong with Pascal? But then everyone's going to start realizing that this guy is the same All-NBA second teamer that we saw just over a year ago. What else is there to talk about? Damn, that was a lot of fun. We talked about the rookies and Fred VanVleet, and that took up almost 40 minutes. That was a lot of fun. Let's talk about the bench. You guys want to talk about the bench, or do you want to do a film breakdown?
I don't know. Do you guys have any extra points on the bench?
I loved what I saw. Delano Banton aside, I think I liked what I saw.
I think Birch had a tough game. He's probably the only guy who really looked out of sorts. And I'm not going to rag on him because who the hell knows what he's dealing with post-COVID stuff.
Yeah.
But he did not look like his reliable self. And I'm really out on Boucher right now. Like, I wrote an article, or I wrote something about him. It'll come out tomorrow. Check it out. But his shot selection has been
RaptorsRepublic.com
/Aiden Moss. But his shot selection the last couple of games has been wretched, and he wasn't really much better. Like tonight, he's still trying to get his own and not really fitting into the system the same way. His defense was much better though.
Yeah. No,
he doesn't fit the system, I don't think, very well.
Not yet.
Yeah. It's tough because I mean, if you were to look at the box score at the end of the game, and you're just a guy who bases his opinion off the box score, you look at Boucher and you're like, oh, he's a +7. Okay, that's good. Oh, he had a couple steals and a block. That's pretty good. He had a few rebounds. But when you watch him, it's like it's almost like you find yourself in confusion more than the happiness we get from Scottie Barnes. So it does even out. But with Boucher, it's his shot selection. Like Aiden said, it's like his shot selection is. Aiden said wretched. I don't even know if that's harsh enough, to be quite honest. Like, it's bad. It's almost like he's trying so hard to get himself in a rhythm because Nick Nurse at this point has already publicly called him out. By the way, I don't know if that's a right thing to do, but I mean, that's Nick Nurse's style. I mean, if you're not playing well, he's just going to tell, the media that you're not playing well.
Some guys respond well to that, some don't.
Yeah, and some don't.
Like we talked about on our Slack channel, like Flynn looks like he's mad that everybody else is having fun because he doesn't get it. And Boucher kind of has that a little bit too. Like everybody's having fun without him, and he's kind of just like miffed about it. So he's just going to go out there and do his thing. Luckily, doing his thing is kind of what the Raptors' defensive scheme is about. Yeah. But yeah, he doesn't look the same thrilled self as everybody else.
Yeah, for a guy that honestly was one of the better Raptors performers in the first half of the season last year, I don't know. Boucher doesn't look the same. Have I given up on him? Absolutely not.
No,
I haven't. I don't know about you guys. I think Boucher is eventually going to turn it around. He's a guy who shot 38% from 3 last year, one of the best shot blockers in the league. I think it's just a matter of his confidence. I honestly think Chris Boucher, a lot of his game hinges on his confidence. I don't know about you, Oren.
I think that's part of it. I think defensively he is getting better, but I think the Raptors are running a different offense this season than they were last year. Last year, Boucher was able to set a lot of screens for Kyle Lowry and roll to the rim or pop, and Kyle would find him. And he is not involved in as many screen actions, and he's not as much as a spot up shooter, which is one of his best offensive skills this year. I'm gonna post this in the comment section right now, but who wrote? Let me just confirm who wrote this. Yes, Stephen Long at Sportsnet wrote about Trevor Gleason, one of the Raptors' assistant coaches, and basically he's running the offense to start the season, and he's running like a flex offense a lot of the time. The Raptors are, which is like bigs are initiating at the top of the key a lot, and bigs are obviously bringing the ball up the court. And Boucher doesn't do that stuff well, right? Like I just don't think it's the same offense where he's getting put in opportunities that like best suit him, whereas he's being asked to bring the ball up the floor and he's being asked to initiate at the top of key, dribble handoff, stuff like that, and that's just not really like his best skill offensively. So maybe it'll come, but I don't know if it will necessarily because just doesn't necessarily fit his strengths. But like, I don't think it's a big deal either way. I think Boucher and Dragic, if you asked me at the start of the season, I would have said those are the two guys that they're going to try to trade. Boucher, because not because he's bad, but because you have like 4 power forwards and he's about to get paid this summer. So it just doesn't feel like he fits long term.
Yeah.
So a lot of teams could use a Boucher, right?
For sure. So it's not a huge problem to have because other teams will probably value Boucher more than the Raptors will going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. I knew by I think the second game, the Boston Celtics game, that this was all by design. Like Precious Achiuwa dribbling the ball up the court. I knew this wasn't like a thing where it was just all right, freestyle, like do what you want, bigs. Ken Birch was bringing it up a couple times. Precious, Scottie. You could consider OG, I guess, if you want a big. But it was. I knew. I had a feeling it was by design, and I'm starting to make sense. I don't know why Oren. Well, actually, no, I understand it. A lot of people are very high on Boucher. I think they're holding on to those memories of last season, which is fine. I understand it totally. Like I said, I haven't given up on him. I don't think Oren or Aiden has yet. But at the same time, he does look like one of the most, culpable trade bait options, I think, for the Raptors. Him beside Dragic. I don't even know, honestly. I'm not expecting Dragic to get traded, to be quite honest. I think he's going to get bought out. But yeah, I don't know what you do with Chris Boucher at this point. I think you just continuously give him that 15 to 20 minutes and just hope that he has that breakout game and his confidence is fixed and maybe he can fit better than what we think he can.
He's going to improve. Yeah. He was also injured, it's going to take time for him to adjust, and just mad at him. Before this game, he was like 3 for 17 from 3, and they're all goddamn bricks. And so,
yeah. Oren, do you want to do your you want to have some fun with some film?
Yeah, sure. Unless you guys want to talk about the rotation first.
Let's do it. Yeah, why not? So I think with the rotation the Raptors currently have, like we said, like we've mentioned how Utah's coming back and Pascal's eventually going to be back. But right now, if we're focusing on the now, I'm okay with what Nick Nurse is doing. We're seeing a lot of starter heavy stuff. I mean, even tonight, I haven't looked at taken a clear look at the box score, but I'm pulling it up now, and yeah, all the starters are at mid 30 minutes per game. OG's at 34, Scottie's at 36, Fred's at 37, Gary's at 35, and then you have Precious around 30. So he's playing starter heavy minutes, and I think this is just virtue of Nick Nurse not having as much faith in the bench. I mean, one of your main bench guys, like we said, was supposed to be Chris Boucher, and he's not performing like Nick Nurse would want him to. Malachi's not even getting minutes. And then you have Svi, who's consistently get I think 10-15 minutes a game this year, and he's been kind of I mean, he is what he is at this point. People know Svi is just like an end of rotation type guy. And then Ken Birch, I'm expecting honestly a little bit more of Ken Birch, guys. I'm a little bit disappointed, especially in his play tonight. Aiden was the first to mention how Ken Birch around the rim just didn't look as good this today. He wasn't catching the ball, but I don't know. Oren, I don't know if we're allowed to do that on the. No, I'm joking.
Oren, your cam's on.
Man. Oh, he didn't hear us. He didn't hear us.
That was hot. It's hot.
No, I hear you. I'm okay with the rotation so far. I know obviously most people, Aiden, would complain about the Malachi situation, but what do you think? I don't know.
I think Lewis has got it down. Oren argued for Kem starting, and I'm leaning that way too. Like, I think he's accentuated more with better skilled players, guys that can pass and get him the ball in the right spots. He's an excellent roller. Like that little, he delays and he finds himself like 4 feet from the rim and has a little push shot floater, that kind of stuff. Like, so I think he makes sense starting, and then you have Precious with a little bit more freedom coming off the bench. Like, he can play with Trent, he can play with Delano. And they're going to need that playmaking off the bench. So that would be my only the only thing I would switch.
Yeah, I still think buying out Dragic, it's too early to like confirm that that's what's happening here. It was just one game where he got a DNP. So I still think there's a good chance Dragic plays up until the deadline. But after the deadline, assuming they don't get like an impact piece back, that looks about right to me. And I think that's a good team. I think that's a really like tough out in the playoffs. Like you don't want to, it's okay if it's Brooklyn or Milwaukee or something, sure, but like the rest of the teams don't really want to see that. I don't think.
I was gonna say, like, if you shrink this down to 8, it looks even better.
Yeah, for sure. It looks great. I mean, Delano's out by the playoffs probably, but yeah,
100%. It's just where do you go with the point guard situation when Delano's out? I don't know. Like if Fred's, I don't know. I mean, it's good. It looks good.
It's true. Yeah. Siakam is basically your backup point guard / Scottie. But yeah, let's get into the film breakdown. Wow, look at that ticker. That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, we're gonna show you guys every episode. We're gonna aim to show you guys a couple clips from the game and just break down what is happening, because it's always easier for everyone to see, the second time around, and once you rewatch something, there's just more to break down. So let's get to it. And I think the first one is Aiden's. So we'll play it. Aiden, you lead us off.
Ooh, I can't wait. Aiden, do you want to explain what the Delano entry pass? Okay. Sorry, Aiden, go ahead. This is supposed to be your time.
I gotta remember what it is. Okay.
Watch it go through it one more time. There it is. Yeah.
Oh, there's our boy Birch with his finish. I think it is. I talked about this earlier, and I'm going to be on this for quite a while. But like OG in the post is something that I just want more of. Every game, he's kind of learning to pick his spots better. This is like just a lovely pass that he may or may not have made earlier on. But he creates a lot of problems for teams, because if you leave him alone there, who's on him? Is it Brogdon?
I think it's Jeremy
Lamb. It's Lamb. Like Lamb has no chance against him, right? And there's few guys that do. As soon as they send the double, Birch is a great cutter. Gary's a great cutter. VanVleet's on the opposite side. So I just wanted to highlight OG in the post generally, but then specifically that OG's passing is coming along as well.
Yeah, I really don't mean to like be annoying here, but I did ask Nurse about how to get OG involved at the end of games, because last game against Chicago, he had one shot in the last 5 minutes and it was all Fred. And it's just like, that can't be your number one option. Like he can't be getting that few plays in the last 5 minutes. And he said, number one is get him balls in the post. And number two was get him as a screener in the pick and roll. But balls in the post, like Indiana was freaking out when OG got balls in the post this game after the first quarter. Like, this was OG's first like number one option game, like it felt like the whole time the whole defense is watching him, and still they have no idea how to stop them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like look at immediately he gets the ball in the post and like O'Shea's not moving. Sabonis has his eyes on him, and when you have your eyes on a guy for a little too long, that gives Kem Birch plenty of opportunity to navigate around the rim and then just do what he did and finish at the rim. Yeah, OG, he's a guy that when you look at him, he's strong as hell. I don't know why Lamb is on him. That doesn't.
And look at his legs. Strong. Like, look at his calves. He is incredibly strong. And this is a guy who is potentially going to be playing the 2 if Scottie starts.
Well, and
when Siakam comes back.
I like that he's starting closer to the hoop to face up. Like, I love that his handles are coming along and that he's working on that step back, but really he's most effective in the paint. So if you can even get the ball 8-10 feet out and he faces up and he can hit that jumper, or he can rip and go, or he can back down, like he's very dynamic. So I've said enough.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
I think I know what I want to talk about. Yeah, I don't know if we can go back a little bit more, but basically this was the first game that they used Scottie in the pick and roll as a screener a little bit more. And this clip just shows why he's lethal in that action, because look how many bodies are on him once he rolls here, and he's so tall and his release point is so high that he gets shots over all of these bodies. And I just think like that's not even a great pass. Like he led him into it, but like the defense completely collapsed on him. He's also going to get better at spraying passes out to shooters in these situations. But Scottie the roller is something to watch for sure. He's just going to be really hard. He has like that push shot that Kem and Precious just don't really have. And so even if you meet him at the rim, he can get it over you. And he's
that's extremely confident of Scottie Barnes, because if you watch on the entry pass from Fred VanVleet, immediately, I think that's Brogdon or that maybe Lamb in the corner on Gary Trent Jr. He immediately gets sucked into the defense, and this could have been an immediate pass to Gary Trent Jr. in the corner. And Scottie's like, hell no. This Sabonis guy is food for me. So that was a nice little finish.
And he doesn't bring the ball down either. Like it's that kind of small, savvy, veteran-looking stuff that's quite impressive. Like there's not a moment hesitation. He doesn't bring the ball down. And in the future, like he can hit that elbow jumper if it's a better pass too, and that makes him even more threatening.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, this is something also that our friend Samson Folk pointed out on Twitter. But after he pushes this shot, he pushes Sabonis with his left hand down a little bit. And Samson was saying he has this little push that he does after he shoots that helps him get these offensive rebounds to lead to putbacks. And you can kind of see it here.
It's so subtle. Holy.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to call that.
I never really took that in. Wow.
Me either until he said that. But yeah.
That's cool. That's a cool observation. Yeah, this ball, like I said, it could have went to Gary Trent, and Scottie's 19 years old somehow with the confidence of an 8-year pro, and he just goes right at Sabonis, who, like we said, is one of the bigger guys in the league, and finishes at the rim, 52-44 for the Raptors. This was like this was almost like physically, the Raptors just imposed their will on the Pacers tonight, and you wouldn't have thought that with a guy like Sabonis and Miles Turner on the Pacers roster.
And a Carlisle coach team too.
Yeah.
This Raptors team is really physical compared to, especially last season was like the most soft team. This team is completely different with Precious and Scottie. Those are both really physical guys. But this pick and roll stuff, like we're not going to see a ton of it in the season because Nick Nurse just doesn't like heavy pick and roll offenses. But in the playoffs, this is when you go to these type of things. So it's just good to know you have in the back pocket.
Yeah, and it's also like again, like OG, Scottie's OG's handles are much better, but Scottie's handles aren't so great. Like in ISO, he's not going to necessarily break guys down on the perimeter. So getting him downhill, even with a higher pick and roll, like above the break, is a great way to get Barnes involved in the offense and making the right decision. Which Sahal said, like he hasn't made wrong decisions really at all.
Yo, Nate Bjorken got to be popping bottles tonight.
He is going crazy tonight.
His crib's a movie tonight.
He is going to go absolutely nuts.
Nick's probably over there popping bottles. But yeah.
I wonder, oh man, like I was thinking it was awkward at the beginning of the game, but it must have been 10 times more awkward at the end of the game for Nate.
Right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Next clip. Please.
Yeah, let's move on to the next clip. Let's break that down. We've got Fred with a nice little steal in transition. Gary Trent Jr. pump fake. That's a really good pass. That's a better pass. Yeah, the Raptors are just
This is my clip.
The ball is flying.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to talk about like the unity of this unit, basically, like that someone should have shot it, no question, but the willingness to just keep passing, like that's perfect basketball. That's beautiful basketball. It's like having a rotation, getting a defender to bite, attacking, and then moving the ball. Like that's how you exhaust teams, and it's rare to see that in the NBA. Usually, if a guy gets a moment to take a shot, he takes it. So I was just, as a basketball nerd, for like little things like this, I was just really excited by it. And that's why I chose it.
Like you said, any Raptors player could have taken the shot there. Gary Trent, after the first pump fake, could have taken that shot. Then Fred could have taken that shot. OG could have taken that shot. And they found a really, really good shot at the rim that probably should have went in.
Yeah.
But I mean, before all of this even happened, all this beautiful free flowing offense even happened. I mean, the entire possession started with a turnover. And then again, it goes back to what we were saying about the Raptors being super active on defense, their hands. I don't know. It feels like every time someone comes to the Raptors, it's just they become a much better defender. I don't know if Nick Nurse is just stressing that, they have to crowd individuals everywhere. We see random double teams in Nick Nurse's defensive system on
it
players.
Worked really well tonight
and
against the bonus.
Yeah. And,
I think he's
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I think he's a really good defensive coach, to be honest. Yeah. Like half of the battle is effort. And obviously he gets guys to play hard. But I mean, there's quarrels about Nurse's offense. And like the whole point, this clip, they have them in rotation because they're in transition. And the first rotation is what the Raptors are trying to are having trouble getting. Yeah. But once they have them in rotation, they are really selfless. And they're really good. But yeah, I think Nurse deserves credit. Like this was always going to be a good defensive team. Everyone was saying that. But the fact that they've done it so quickly out of the gate, like I think they're a top 5 defense after this game. And the fact that they have done it with so many young people, you have 2 20-year-olds starting, basically. Precious 22, but whatever. That's really impressive as a coach.
It's true that like it's easy to gush over an offense when they have how many steals? Like 20, a lot. 18. Like transition, these teams are the Raptors are just going to look invincible. So you're right. I mean, and that's why that ball movement was so encouraging, because usually this whole game, like usually you see the ball stick a lot, and there was a lot more sharing and a lot more ball movement.
Yeah, and this last clip is perfect because it's exactly what we're talking about with the defense. I mean, when Fred VanVleet talks about playing big, watch him on this play. Yeah. Like, watch his rotations, watch how wide his stance is, watch how big your 6 foot 10 or 5'10" point guard is playing. Like, he steps into this one.
He's everywhere.
He's there. He makes this rotation. He's up straight. And Boucher, he makes him take enough time for Boucher to come over there, slap that away. That's why I wasn't comfortable with saying Scottie has been the best, because Fred, to me, defensively this season, him and OG are incredible.
Kem has a pretty good possession too. Like he's guarding multiple guys for most of that possession, keeping everybody in check. He lets Duarte go at the end there, but otherwise he's covering a lot of ground for their big man.
Shout out Chris Duarte, by the way. Canadian, Dominican. I tweeted before the game that he was averaging 20 points per game, and he wasn't really getting a lot of love for it, at least from outside of the Indiana Pacers community. So, and he's Canadian, so hopefully he can join the program sooner rather than later. And again, obviously, a lot of his production has to do with Karis LeVert. I love how Oren's just frozen like that. I feel like he was just about to say something and then he just froze.
It looks like he opened up a present on Christmas.
Yeah, that was good. He's back.
Or whatever.
That was funny. But I'm a fan of Chris Duarte. I also said before the game that the Pacers are a team that's pretty fun to follow for Canadians and Raptors fans, because they got 2 Canadians. They have ESPN Trade Machine favorite Miles Turner that people have. Raptors fans have wanted Miles Turner to join this team for the last 3-4 years, and nobody can tell me any different. And then they have players who I enjoy to watch, at least. I think some people would consider them boring, but I love watching Malcolm Brogdon. I feel like he operates the offense really well. Sabonis is nice and crafty in there.
I like LeVert and Sabonis, but I'm excited to find out who our sponsor is. I just don't know. Did you guys have an ad read last game?
We did, yeah.
Oh, well, here we go. It's all you. So I'm excited.
So Can-Am CPA is a full-service small business accounting and tax firm with an experienced and friendly staff that can help you navigate a triangle offense better than Phil Jackson. Can-Am also provides personal tax preparation and can recover the funds that you are entitled to. Don't leave that money on the table. If you have questions about your personal taxes, they'd be happy to help out the Raptors community. Check out their Google reviews. And visit Can-Am at www.canamtax.com. That's www.canamtax.com. I might do a jingle. I might charge them.
I was gonna say
or something like
That was very, very well done. Sounds like
Thanks,
you've been
man.
doing these for years, honestly.
Yeah, I actually work at Can-Am Tax. No, I'm joking. That would be funny.
That was perfect.
Yeah, so thank you to Can-Am Tax for sponsoring the episode. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into. So we did our film breakdown. We talked about Fred, Scottie, the bench mob. We talked about the rotation. We talked about the rookies, guys. I think we talked about everything. I'm going through our entire topic list. I think
we're good.
I think that's everything.
We did it today. We really put it in there. We like the Raptors. We came in just like the Raptors. We came in here today. We executed on all of our X's and O's. We shared the ball really well, I think.
High volume takes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we're walking out of here tonight just with a smile on our face, with a W on our chest, and we could be proud of ourselves.
I've never been happier to be 2-3.
Same.
I've literally never been happier.
Well, Orlando, that's an easy dub coming on Friday.
3-3, baby. Here we go.
Nah,
Doug's revenge game.
You just jinxed it. Before you guys leave us tonight, please, we need you to comment. If you haven't already, give us your thoughts on the game. Even when the game's over. I mean, the game finished, but we want to hear. Sometimes we get comments when we're not live, and we love reading those as well. We need you to like. Don't forget to like. I already see people leaving. Do not leave until you like. I'm gonna grab you by your collar. No,
I'll hunt you down
and
email you nice mean messages.
Like and subscribe to the Raptors Republic channel. Turn on the post notifications if you haven't already. This was the wrap up with myself, Aiden Moss, Oren Weisfeld. We enjoyed it. This was the post-game show where your Toronto Raptors defeated the Indiana Pacers 118 to 100. It was a nice blowout win. Like I said, it's going to be a roller coaster all season. And that brought the Raptors record to 2-3 on the year. We'll see you all Friday night at home versus the Orlando Magic. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. Who's on the Orlando Magic? Oh, Cole Anthony. Nice. That'll be fun. What else is on your
Suggs, man.
Oh, Jalen Suggs. Nice. That works as well. All right. Bye, guys.